Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anas Alaslah. Our group will be presenting about the topic of economic integration. So we start Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What is economic integration? Economic integration is an arrangement among nations to reduce or eliminate trade barriers and coordinates their monetary and fiscal policies. And by the way, the framework of theory of economic integration was laid out by a person named Jacob Wiener in year 1950, he who defined the trade creation and trade diversion effects. So next, why? Why economic integration happen? There are two reasons. There are economic reasons as well as political reasons on why nations pursue economic integrations. So number one, economic reasons. Economic integrations is meant to lead to lower the price for both distributors and consumers, with the goal of increasing the level of welfare while leading to an increase of economic productivity of the states members. So number two, there also are political reasons. So the political cooperation among the countries also can improve because of the stronger economic ties, which provide an incentive to resolve conflict peacefully and also lead to a greater stability. So to sum it up, the unification of economic policies between different states through partial or full abolition of tariff and non-tariff restriction on trades. So, nation within the economic bloc could happily gain productivity as well as enjoy a stable economic and peace bond between the state members. So that's the end of this definition. Next, we will be discuss about the degree of economic integration, but I will hand that part to the next presenter, Nurmiza Hidayat.
Assalamualaikum everyone. I am Nurmiza Hidayat bin Mokhtar, and now I would like to present about the degree or stages of economic integration. In this part, there are 5 stages in the economic integration, which are preferential trade arrangement, free trade area, custom unions, common market, and the last is economic unions. Now, let me proceed to the first degree of economic integration. In a short explanation, if we look at that slide, we can see that Nation A and Nation B are in the same members country, while Nation C is the non-member country. So, for the preferential trade arrangement, Nation A and Nation B will provide trade barriers, but at a lower price to each other because they are in a one group member. Besides that, each member has different policies when trading with non-member countries, which is country C. For the next slide, I will explain about free trade area. In definition, free trade area is a grouping of countries within which tariff and non-tariff trade barriers between the members are generally abolished, but with no common trade policy toward non-members. If we look at the slide, we can see the members countries has no trade barriers. Meanwhile, when they want to trade with non-member country, which is Nation C, each member Nation A and Nation B has different policies when trading with Nation C. Okay, the example for the free trade area is European Free Trade Association, such as Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and also Switzerland. Alright, we move to the next stage, which is custom unions. Custom unions are the group of countries that apply one common system of procedures, rules, and tariff for all of their imports, export, and transiting goods. Usually, countries participating in this stage will share common trade and competition policies. In a simple situation, Nation A and Nation B has still provide no trade barriers to each other. But if they want to trade with non-member country C, it has a common barrier and there is one single external tariff for all goods and services that imported from them. The example that is the custom unions in the world is Andean Community of nations such as the nation of Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and also Peru. Furthermore, common market is a group of countries that imposing few or no duties on trade with one and another and a common tariff on trade with other countries. In a simple situation like usual, member countries like Nation A and Nation B will provide no trade barriers to trade between them, but includes a common external trade policy if trade with non-member country, that is country C. Besides of that, it allows factors of production to move freely between members which are Nation A and Nation B. So, the example that I can take here is Mercosur. Countries like Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay are all under of it. For the last stage, economic unions is a group countries coming together to allow the goods and services to move freely in and out of these countries in order to remove the trade barriers. Let me look at the slide. Nation A and Nation B are the member countries, so it requires a common currency, harmonization of member tax rates, a common monetary and also a fiscal policy. The situation in the economic union become more close within the member country. So, of course, the example for this stage is European Union or EU, although not all members have adopted the common currency. Alright, I think that's all for my part. I hope everyone can understand about the degree of economic integration as well.
Trade creation is an economic term related to international economies in which trade flows are redirected due to the formation of a free trade areas or custom union. The issue was first brought into discussion by Jacob Weiners in 1950, together with the trade diversion. When the custom union is formed, the members' nation establish a free trade areas amongst themselves and a common external tariff on non-members' nations. As a result, the members' nation establish greater trading ties between themselves now that protectionist barriers such as tariff, import quotas, and subsidies have been eliminated. The result is an increase in trade among members' nations in the goods or service of each nation's comparative advantage. In other words, an increase in trade causes greater revenues. The creation of trade is important to the nations entering the customs union in that increased specialization may hurt other industries. Arguments for protectionism, such as the infant industries argument, national defense, outsourcing, and issues with health and safety regulations are brought to mind. However, custom unions are typically formed with friendly nations, eliminating the national defense arguments. Okay, now let's dive into the origin of new trade creations. Forming a custom union is the first step in establishing new trade rules. Members can engage in free trade with each other. As a result, there is a starting point to boost trading activities within the union while cutting ties with non-members countries. Here's a case study to illustrate the process of trade creation. Okay, this is it. The trade creation diagram. DS and DD represent the domestic supply and demand for commodities respectively. Okay, now let's assume that Ukraine wants to trade with France, which is a member of European Union. Before joining the EU, Ukraine, who are the non-members of the EU, was required to pay the tariff price at the P1. Therefore, domestic output was at the quantity B and the domestic demand was at quantity C. The imports pointed out the difference between the quantity C and B. Okay, now let's say Ukraine had joined the European Union, which is, I know, it's a bit controversial, and wanted to trade with France for commodities. You can see that the price was reduced to the custom union price at the P level. This is indicate a decline in domestic supply to quantity A and an increase in domestic demand to quantity D. Therefore, the new import level is the difference between quantity A and D, which is more than it was previously. So, the trade between the countries has been created. The yellow shaded zones indicate the trade efficiency. will be regained as a result of more efficient producers and lower prices, which will lead to a recovery of consumer surplus as a result of the loss of tariff revenue during the tariff exemption. Initial consequences include a rise in consumer welfare due to more goods and lower prices, while long-term effects include an increase in competitive advantage and specialization. Okay, now let's move on to the trade diversion.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I will continue the presentation for our group. I will explain about trade diversion. Trade diversion occur when lower cost import from outside the custom union are replaced by higher cost import from a union member. Trade diverting custom union resulting in both trade creation and trade diversion, so can increase or decrease the welfare of union member depending on which effect is stronger. As example, Indonesia and China. As Indonesia is the union member, no trade barrier has applied to them. Meanwhile, China no special privilege as China will pay taxes and have quota of goods to import to Malaysia. For better understanding, let's proceed to the next example. Calculation. To calculate the amount of goods that been imported to Malaysia, we will use total demand minus total domestic supply. Looking up to the graph, at RM2 Malaysia will produce as much as 20 units of goods and demand is 50 units. When we apply the calculation, we will get the answer as much as 30 units. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that at RM2 Malaysia do the trade with China. Because of that, Malaysia will get a tax revenue. If Malaysia put RM1 tax per goods, Malaysia will get 30 ringgit of tax revenue. The same formula we apply to trade with Indonesia. We will get 45 units of goods and no trade revenue because Indonesia is union's member.
Okay, now we entering the last part of presentation, which is the example of current issue about economic integration. And the issue we choose is the Brexit. So, what is Brexit? Brexit is a combination of two English words, which is Britain and exit. And the term refers to the withdrawal process of the United Kingdom from the European Union. And the exact time of Brexit become official is at 7 a.m. 1st February year 2020. So, why Brexit happened? In 2016, a referendum by Lord Ashcroft was held for gather information about the reasons why United Kingdom citizens wants Brexit. Those factors includes, the first one is anti-establishment politics. Due to the protests against the establishment, which had been in control by the elites, who were seen to have ignored the will of the people for too long. So the second factor is the immigration issues. The Brexit will be a great opportunity for UK to regain control over their immigration issues and their border issues. The next factor is the economy, because the Brexit supports the idea to oppose less ideal common policy in current EU, such as the fisheries policies. And the last factors in Brexit is the sovereignty issue. In 2016, 49% referendum voters wants United Kingdom decision making lies upon the citizens of UK itself and not from other EU residents. So after all the Brexit voters, what the outcome of Brexit? So the pound currency is depreciated, weaker, which causing UK households poorer by increasing the cost of imports, resulting in high inflation and lower real wage growth, as for 31st January 2022, which is 2 years observation after the Brexit occurred. And sadly, Brexit is partly to blame for historically high inflation in UK by causing labour shortage and strengthening pricing pressure among the firms, and also totally weakening the economy. Being said, so there will be the end of last part of presentation, which also marking the end of our presentation as a whole. So that will be all from us. Thank you very much.